In this video, I want to introduce you to the Moodle quiz activity. So Moodle has lots of different types of activities. They have assignment type activities or lesson type activities or page type activities. But when you see this gray page with a red check mark, so right here, before you start something, that is a quiz style activity. Now, the main point of this whole video, that doesn't mean it's a quiz. That doesn't mean it's for marks. That doesn't mean it's timed. It doesn't mean it's always going to be a traditional quiz. Moodle just calls this type of activity a quiz type activity. So, for example, when I go in here, they're all kind of going to be set up the same. They'll have the title, they'll have some pre-information, and then they'll have an attempt quiz button. Again, it calls it a quiz right here, but that doesn't always mean, again, it's not always a quiz. Like in this one, it says, remember, this is not for grades. Up here, it says it's not for mark. It's meant to help prepare you. All the pre-information, make sure to read kind of everything from here to here before you hit start, because that's going to set up what you're supposed to do in it, what the purpose is, how to complete it, those types of things. But in either case, you would click this attempt quiz now button to start the activity. So there's something like this. Like this is just a pre-test to kind of figure out where you are in the unit. It could be for something like this, which is a planning activity to get you ready for an assignment. Again, this one says, it doesn't count towards your grade, but it has to be completed before you start. It's got the same start button. It could be something like a real quiz for marks. But in either case, all of these activities, they lay out what it is, how you complete them, and what the kind of purpose is, whether they're for marks. But let's look at something like this. So this is just going to be like a quick sample version. I'm going to go in here. As usual, there's going to be some instructions. This one says I have one attempt. This one does give me a time limit. So when I hit attempt, it's going to say, are you sure? You've got 30 minutes. Make sure this is your chance, go get a drink of water, whatever you need to do. Make sure the kids are where they need to be before you hit start attempt. Because once I've started, you'll notice there's a little timer running here saying how much time you have remaining. So you might have seen one of these before. It looks kind of like a standard. This one looks like a multiple choice question. It's question 1. I haven't answered it yet. This one is marked out of 1. So this is for 1 mark. Here's the question. So this is what it'll explain, maybe a setup, a question. I don't know. I'll choose D, option 2 for this one. Let's move to the next page. So I can use this next page button to get to my next question. Once it loads, this one has a reading. So there's something I need to read beforehand. I can read this before answering this question about the reading. But let's say for a second, I'm not as sure about number 2. I want to pause on this one for a second, and maybe I'm just gonna flag that one. So there's this button here beside the question where you can add or remove a flag. This is really nice because it tells me up here, there's a little red flag up in this corner saying, maybe I have a concern, maybe I have a question about it, maybe I want to come back to it. I can still move to the next page. And you'll notice I've got this little flag here to remind me to go do number 2. Number 3, this one's a matching. So this one's a matching question. I'll do some matching here. Now, maybe I'm going to go back. I'm going to use this quiz navigation tool to get me back to number 2. I want to go back to number 2 rather than hitting previous or next. You could always use this quiz navigation on the side. So I'm going to navigate back to number 2. This was the one I flagged. I could maybe remove the flag or I could keep the flag. In either case, maybe I'm going to say option 3. But this one says I can select one or more. Maybe I think it's 3 and 4, possibly. I'll say 3 and 4 for this one. I'm confident. It says I can select one or more. In either case, I'll remove the flag. Maybe I want to go check number 3 one more time. I'll use this quiz navigation to get back to number 3. And if you notice in this quiz navigation bar now that I've answered the 3 questions, they're all grayed out. 1 I answered, it got grayed out because I answered it. 2, that was just a reading. I had to scroll by it and read it. It gets grayed out. These are all grayed out. Now I have a chance to say finish attempt. It doesn't mean submit. It doesn't mean I'm totally done. I'll click that finish attempt though, and it'll say, so for number 1, we saved your answer. Number 2, we saved your answer. Number 3, we saved your answer. This is my last chance to check, did for number 1, whatever I chose, did that click actually register? Because maybe I notice it says, ooh, no answer saved. I can still go back to number 1, double check my answer, double check I have something filled in. I could still, okay, I'm comfortable with that. I made sure I had something for number 1. Click finish attempt again. I'm happy here. I've got an answer for all of them. I don't have any flags up anymore. I can hit submit. It'll say once you submit, once I click this one more time, this is the end of your first attempt. Submit all and finish. Now, in this case, it automatically marked it and it's allowing me to see some feedback. So this won't happen for everything. It won't happen for every quiz. It won't happen for every activity. But in this case, it's automatically going to tell me what my grade was, what I got wrong, what I got right. So it says this one was incorrect. It might give me a little bit of feedback here. It might say what the correct answer is. It might give you a reason why something was a correct answer, but it's put me right back into this review page. It'll kind of break down where your marks came from, how you did, give you a little bit of feedback, those types of things. It doesn't always do this, like especially if it's something for marks, if it's a midterm, it's not always going to kick out the correct answers or feedback and stuff. Sometimes if it's more of like a pre-work activity or a planning activity, it'll give this feedback. But if it's, your final exam, it's not going to go through and show you the right answers. In either case, I could finish my review here. That one's done. Let me show you one more quickly though. So here's another style. Again, it's a quiz style of activity. This one says it's clear it's not for marks. When I get into this one, this is a written question. So this one is just a written question. So when I go in here, maybe I have, here is my answer. I'm going to start finishing something, but I'm going to write maybe 100 words or something here. I'm not going to maybe do it all in one go. I can always, as usual, I can hit finish attempt, but I'm not going to submit it. At this point, I'm just finished for now. I could take a break. I could go back somewhere else in the course. Maybe go look after whatever I need to look after. But when I come back to it later, because I hit finish attempt, I can come back and continue that attempt. So when I come back and continue, there was my answer I had saved. So I've got a little bit of work here. Here is some more answer. I've added to it. I'll hit finish attempt. Once I hit finish attempt, again, it's saved. It's saved here. I could choose, maybe I'll come back one more time, edit a little more, work a little more, or let's say I'm done. Submit. And in this case, let's see what it feeds out. So I've done my writing, I've saved it. In this case, it's not telling me a mark. Maybe this was a planning activity. It's not actually 4 marks, so there's no marks here. But it still has the question. It still has the answer. Maybe there's some feedback for you underneath. And next time, when I come back into this one, I can still come back and check. So maybe I went and did a couple more lessons, or I did something else. When I come back here, I just have to hit this review button, and I can come and see that feedback. Maybe again, on that one that maybe was for marks, I could come back, click review. And once it's back in here, it will show me again, maybe which ones I got right or wrong. Again, it depends on the type of quiz. It depends on the type of activity, whether it's for marks, whether it's not for marks, but you should often have that ability to review. So those are quiz style activities. Remember, every time you hit attempt quiz, that doesn't always mean it for marks. It doesn't always mean it's timed. Make sure to read all of that pre-information before you hit attempt.